Hi guys and welcome back. Today I want to try to answer to the question, is DeFi becoming a new CeFi? Because it is perfectly legit to start wondering about it. After what we have seen with Aave and DYDX and many other protocols that has started to create a blacklist of addresses that can't anymore using that kind of protocol. And that's something that is quite scary because we are pretending to have a decentralized world, but at the end of the story, we are having companies, we are having teams that can decide by just a morning, a day, to block some kind of users, avoiding them to access anymore the protocol. We will discuss about it and we will try to give an answer why it is happening and if there is a future for a real decentralization. Just before to start, guys, let me say that this channel is just about educational content and nothing has to be intended as financial advice. If you want to invest in anything, that's great, but do always your own research before. And don't forget to leave us a big thumbs up and drop a comment if you enjoy this content and if you want to also help us. That's really just a small action for you, but really means a lot to us and can really make the difference. Also, that's for the algorithm that unfortunately it is working into this way. And don't miss the opportunity also to check all our links into the description just below, where you will be able to find our weekly newsletter, Twitter, and so on, all the different channels where we publish and we share even more content. Okay, but let's try to start a discussion about DeFi and CiFi, because yes, CeFi, all of us are having quite a broad experience. We have seen protocols, platforms of any kind. We have seen degenerative companies that were just using the funds of their users like as they wanted, just to produce revenues, just to gamble, because at a certain point what we have seen it was just gambling with the money of the users without any kind of risk management, and that is completely unacceptable. On the other side, when we talk about DeFi, it could be Aave, but it could be any kind of protocol, Uniswap, it could be DYDX, it could be GMX, it could be all the protocols on Solana, Serum, and so on. There are so many that it's impossible to create a whole list just right now. What I want to say is that in the moment when we started to build, we as a community started to work, started to share the idea behind DeFi. The idea was creating something censorship resistant. Unfortunately, what we are seeing is quite the opposite. But why it is happening? And it is really something that is bad. At the end of the story, we will have a DeFi that is becoming a CeFi. Let's try to answer first of all to this question, because the answer is no. There is still a big difference between what we are seeing with CeFis like Celsius to any other DeFi that is trying to become compliant. Because the point is compliancy. Yes, DeFi will still remain DeFi from the technology point of view. It is much more transparent, it is much more reliable, because you don't have to rely on a broker, on a person that is managing your funds, but you have just to trust to a smart contract. Obviously, the reality is that this smart contract, unfortunately, can be modified by a team that is still having access to the smart contract. That's also the reason why the only really decentralized asset that we have that is permissionless and so on is Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a contract that is not anymore changeable. It is like it is right now, and it will not be modified into the next future, or at least that's not the idea. In order to modify it, what is necessary is a hard fork. So it is necessary to have a whole community that is deciding to transitioning from something that is the state of art right now to something else. When we are talking about protocols, DeFi, smart contracts, by their nature, they are requiring updates because the technologies are changing, and also the effort, new ideas, new kind of integrations are required, new bugs to be solved, and so on. That's the reason why it is necessary for the team having some kind of access in order to change, to update the contract, and so on. The point obviously is that if we have this kind of need. On the other side, what we need to have is also faith into the team. And that's another big problem. The point that is starting to scare many people is that in order to solve some kind of emergency, we are seeing protocols and team changing suddenly the rules. We have seen Aave that has created a blacklist, but just a couple of other months ago, we have seen Solend that just a day decided that it was too risky to have a whale that was having so much money, and they were just changing the rules just to liquidate that position. And if you think about, that's crazy, because you are relying into a smart contract, but at the end of the story, you finish up with a situation that is just like any kind of CeFi, so where you are having people that can decide for your future. Let's say that you have deposited your money inside a smart contract, thinking that your position will be safe for the simple reason that it is managed by a smart contract, and you are starting a trip all around the world that can last maybe months. And when you are coming back, you will see simply that your position has been liquidated. Maybe you have lost so much money. If you think about it, that's crazy. And how it is possible? The reality is that we have to understand that DeFi is not yet the space that we are dreaming of. Right now, it is just an experimental space where every day something is changing. So if you want to use the DeFi, any kind of DeFi protocol, what you need to remember is that you have to stay on track. You need to keep studying, keep being updated about the latest news about what is happening, because what can happen is that you were thinking that your money were safe, but at the end of the story, maybe you can be liquidated because the protocol has changed the rules suddenly. I think that during the time, we will find a balance. So at a certain point, we will have a situation where the rules will be stable and you can rely on them. Actually, the technology is too immature to have this kind of environment. So that's the reason why teams are needing this kind of permissions. And on the other side, that's why we should expect this kind of situation. On the other side, there is also another thing that is quite important. It is compliancy. We are seeing regulators doing the most incredible things. We have seen, yes, from one side, Tornado has been banned. So we are banning a technology that is being used by also legit people, innocent people that were just using it to preserve, to defend their privacy, that has been shut down just without any kind of other discussion. But also on the other side, we are seeing other situations that are even more crazy. Look at this one. I have just shared it the other day on Twitter, and that's insane. We are seeing this exchange that if you are living in certain part of Canada, you can buy unlimited amount of cryptocurrencies that are Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Bitcoin Cash. Who cares right now about these cryptocurrencies? Nobody knows, but you can buy them as much as you want. On the other side, if you want to buy, for example, Solana, if you want to buy Aave, as we were talking about, if you want to buy any kind of other asset, you have a limit. As you can see here, you will have an annual net buy limit of 30K if you live in one of the following provinces. And that's something that is insane. So according to where you live, you will have different rules. And yes, it doesn't make any sense. The point is that what we need to understand is that the environment, from the rules, from the compliance point of view, it is changing so fast because governments and also regulators are facing this environment, and they are not yet able to understand how they should approach this kind of situation, because obviously it is a complete shift, completely different shift from what we were used to have just in the past. And that's something that they are not ready to approach. So we should expect, it is quite normal, even if we don't like, and even if it's crazy, because for example, this situation from this exchange in Canada, it is insane. It doesn't make any sense, but that's what it is. And the reason is because the market is too young, and we will see much more situations like this one. And the reason why Aave and DYDX and many others are trying to implement without complaining some kind of tool in order to create, for example, blacklist or try to stay compliant. The reason is quite simple. We are living in a really delicate and dangerous balance. All of us, or at least all the teams, are quite aware that if they are not following the rules, if they are trying to go too far from what the governments are looking, the risk is that to have regulations that are becoming much harder to be acceptable into this kind of situation. So the point is try to find some kind of compromise in order to still maintain this balance in the meantime, the whole ecosystem has to evolve, obviously, because the main point, the main threat for DeFi and for the crypto space is security. What we need to solve is all of these threats, all of this risk of being hacked, all of these bridges that are being drained, that are losing money, and so on. In the moment when we will be able to solve this kind of problem, we also be able to transmit the feeling of security to regulators, to the community, to institutions, and so on. And in that moment, it will be possible maybe to try to create technologies that could be more free, it would be more acceptable also in the moment when the public opinion will be in favor of DeFi, in favor of this kind of technologies. And the first idea when people will start thinking about cryptocurrency, it will be not anymore about scams, about just drug dealers, and about criminal actions. In the moment when we will be able to leave behind all of this, that will be the moment when we will have the opportunity to see a new environment where we can also have more decentralization. I still don't know personally if we will have really a real decentralized world, a real decentralized protocols and so on, or we will have simply DeFi that are behaving like CeFi. I think that in this kind of situation right now, it is correct to have in this kind of mixed situation because that's normal. The transition will require much more time. I hope to see in the future much more decentralization and much more protocols that can rely on a real decentralized technology. Guys, let me know what you think about this topic because it is crucial to understand what is happening and most of all why it is happening, because the point is not that suddenly all the DeFi protocols has decided to become more centralized. That's not the point. Is that we are living in this dangerous balance and we need to maintain this kind of equilibrium. So that's the situation. Guys, so let me know what you think about it into the comment section below. Don't forget to leave us a big thumbs up and I will see you soon with another video. Bye guys.